Good morning, everybody. It's about that time to, drumroll, apply to summer programs. And I really wanted to talk about this because I was late to the game when it came to applying and attending summer programs. I didn't attend my first program until I was in grad school doing my master's program, so I was very late to the game. So high schoolers and undergraduate peeps, this is for you to hopefully inspire you to apply. The first program, kind of like the only real summer program that I did, was the Minority Health International Research Training Program, which is called MHIRT, and it takes you abroad to study minority health disparities. And I was stationed in New Zealand at Dunedin at the University of Otago. And it was our summer, so their winter, because they're in the southern hemisphere. And it was a great experience. I was cold and not happy about that because I wanted summer. But without this program, I would have never gone to New Zealand probably until, I don't know, until I caught the travel bug. But now I caught the travel bug, so I would like to return there. I met a lot of cool people. I gained a lot of research and got a poster out of the experience, and I presented it. Some people come out of it with research papers as well. So they make good CV builders as well as providing that great experience. It was one of the best experiences of my life. It was hard because I was there for 2 months and I was away from my son and my family. Thankfully, we made it work, and with video chatting, it was kind of hard because of the time differences, but we made it work. My son is a trooper. Thank you, Ezra. I love you. But it was a great experience. If you're interested in the program, thinking about it, definitely apply. And the other program is not really a summer program, it's an internship. And I did it in the summer because that's when I had time to do it. And it's called the Health Partners Internship, and it is through North Country Healthcare in Flagstaff. So if you're from Flagstaff and you're pre-med or public health major, I highly recommend this program. It is wonderful. Basically, you meet with patients and connect them with programs that are in the city that are free to kind of just address those social determinants of health. And also we had weekly meetings where we would go over the social determinants of health, kind of have a roundtable discussion about them and like write papers and all that. So it was really great. I really enjoyed that program. I felt like I was on the right path because I'm from Flagstaff, so I just felt like I was coming full circle because a lot of the issues that people were dealing with, these social determinants of health, like I've been there, and that's why I want to go into medicine, to help alleviate, like to help address, can't really address the social determinants of health, but really like help the people. Oh, I don't know how to explain it. That'll be a video for another day. But basically, it's just a very great program. I highly recommend it. Yeah, that's my experience with it. Jazz and Maliyan have more experience with summer programs because they kind of caught on in the beginning of college where I did not. Also a non-traditional student. We'll make another video telling y'all about our journey to medical school and some other things to consider when applying to summer programs because they have requirements. Some require a letter of recommendations, GPA requirements, and other things for eligibility. And one of the reasons why I was so late to the game was because letter of recs require you to talk to professors, and I was so shy, so introverted. Motherhood changed that, but I was afraid. I didn't talk to professors, even though I was doing just fine in their class. I was really afraid to ask questions, that sort of thing. So if you're like me and you're shy, I challenge you to set a goal for yourself, like a weekly goal. Talk to your professor. It's different during COVID times because, you know, you might not be in person. So even so, write them an email. Make that a weekly goal. Challenge yourself. And writing an email kind of takes the pressure off of, you know, interacting IRL. So I challenge you to do that. Another thing is the GPA requirement. When I transferred from community college to university, it was a big culture change, and I was kind of like doing a whole lot. Again, we'll do the video. We're talking about that more, but my GPA suffered and I didn't meet the requirements for some of these programs. So if that is you, consider first, prioritize your classes for one. GPA is important. It's not the most important, but it is important. So prioritize your classes, and also you can look into doing grad programs. I got my master's. You can also do a post-bac program. I also did that, but it was after my master's program, and it was more towards getting into medical school. So it was a program that Jazz, Maliyan, and I all did, and Jazz was in the cohort before us. We'll talk about that too another time. Maliyan and Jazz have way more experience with summer programs than I do, but that is my experience, and I hope I've inspired you to apply. I hope we inspire you to apply. Great opportunities, people. Don't miss out.
Hi everyone. You miss us? Haha. Anyway, Tomoko had a really great idea where we should talk about kind of our experiences with summer programs and internships and all of that, and kind of how to build your resume, because that's a very important point when you're going into the medical field, or if you're trying to get into like professional school. You need to have certain resume builders that people look for. Yeah, I'm just gonna talk about my experience with that. In high school, I didn't really do much in terms of building my resume. I volunteered sometimes with my teams or whatever where I was doing, but I didn't really do much in terms of research or clinical experience, something that would boost it in a relevant way. And that's because I didn't really know about any opportunities. The only thing that I did do was the reservation school would put on an after school program. I was in middle school, I think, when I did those, and that would just be more about language acquisition. So we'd do things with learning our language, and then we would do a fun activity. That was in high school and middle school. Going into undergrad, I think you get a little bit more opportunity, getting into research, shadowing. There are other options like internships that you can do, but you have to be plugged in. And I wasn't my first couple of years. I started my research that I did in undergrad my sophomore year of college, and that's just because I had heard that you needed to get some research experience from my advisor when I was talking to him about going to grad school or med school. So he advised me to get into a lab. So that's what I did. Step number one, try to get into a lab. I did more qualitative research. The lab that I worked in studied depression. But if you're more science oriented, basic science, I try to get into, some schools will have labs that work with zebrafish, some animal models. Try to get into that as soon as possible. It really helps with trying to get published as early as possible and all that. And specifically for our Native followers, I would try, if your school has a Native center, I would try reaching out to them to see if they knew of any opportunities. Like I said, get plugged in, because my school did the WAYS internship, which is the Wabanaki Youth into Science. That's what it stands for. And they would have certain projects you could do in the summer, where it'd be 6 to 8 weeks, right? And you could work with a professor or another grad student, and you could work on their research with them and just help them out. And it would be something to do with working with tribes. The one that I did, we were working with the Penobscot River Restoration Project, and so we were studying communications, which again, not really basic science, but it was something that I was interested in, and I got to work with elders and people from my community. I really enjoyed it, and it gave me a better perspective on the different types of research, and I learned how to interview people, so it was pretty cool. So yeah, kind of reach out to them, see if they know of anything, or if they can connect you with someone who would know a little bit more about any opportunities for Native youth. The one that I really credit me getting the experience and really boosting my network with my Native peers that want to go into medicine was the NAM program at University of Minnesota Medical School in Duluth. And NAM stands for Native Americans into Medicine. I applied because I think I just saw, oh, you know what? My mom sent it to me. So my mom is on the school board at our reservation school, and they get tons of like different emails of opportunities, and they will send it out to like the school or like admin at the school who then like send it out. And this one came through, and so she mentioned it to me, and it was just describing like this program, this science program that you could apply to as an undergrad. This one was for a 2-year cohort, and it would be 6 weeks in the summer, like one summer 2018 and then summer 2019, maybe 2017, 2018. Anyway, dates don't really matter. You would go out to Minnesota in Duluth, and you'd stay there, and you would do this research project. And so our research was about traditional tobacco and kind of how to include traditional tobacco use in the CDC Youth Tobacco Survey, which is given out to high schoolers. That's just because lung cancer is actually really prevalent in Native communities, and so we kind of wanted to see whether or not knowledge or use of traditional tobacco affects sort of understanding like why rates are so high. That's what we worked on. So the first summer we worked just trying to like find out more about ways we should ask this in the survey, and then kind of implementing that into a questionnaire. In the second summer, we were doing quantitative research this time. So that was more qualitative, kind of asking like big questions, getting ideas rather than numbers. In the second summer, we actually had sent out those surveys and during the fall and winter. And when we got them back, we looked at like how people had answered, and we did certain just statistical measurements on, I don't know if that's even the right word, measurements, and, you know, see what the results were. And then we disseminated that. Okay, we just did a class about making sure we aren't, you know, using medical jargon. So disseminate is just to share back the information that you got from, like, say, a survey or a test with those who had participated. So we shared back with the community what we had gotten, like what information we had gotten and ways that we thought that this information could be used to encourage traditional tobacco use, getting away from commercial tobacco, etc., etc. So yeah, that was kind of what my research was about. But the program itself was great because I got to really engage with other Native peers who were either in medical school or thinking about going to medical school. And it was great because at undergrad I didn't really have a lot of Native peers within my classes. Yeah, it was really great. I met one of my mentors, Dr. Owen. She's just amazing, and she really inspired me and kind of showed me that, you know, I could do this. It was possible for me to get into medical school. Before it felt like a dream, and then after NAM it felt like a possibility. That was pretty cool. I think that a lot of people could benefit from these programs. So if you ever have the opportunity to apply, I would totally do it. It's great. It boosts your resume, but it also helps you get those experiences that you need in order to be like confident and really believe in yourself that you can do this. And for people who are in high school or like maybe research really isn't for you, which I 100% get that. I don't really like research, but schools love it. And sometimes it's something that you kind of have to like suck up and do. But if you're really on the fence about it, or you're just kind of like thinking about how do I test and all this other stuff, like other things that you need to do in order to get into med school, like take the MCAT, they have workshops that you can do too, which I had no idea about, but I had seen after I had gone to University of Minnesota, I kind of was like plugged into options and opportunities out that way, and they were putting on workshops of like what to do for the MCAT, kind of how to boost your resume, how to be the best like med school applicant. So if your school, or if you would just see like a posting of kind of those workshops, I would highly recommend getting into one of those, because I didn't do anything. It was a whirlwind trying to like figure out how to actually apply, what's the best way to do things. Part of my application was lacking because I just didn't know that these were things that you had to do to make yourself stand out. Those are kind of the like things to bring to your attention, I guess, if you're thinking about going to med school or just grad school, professional school in general. Yeah, so reach out to us with any more questions that you have. We're really excited to just be, working with the Native youth because we were there like not even a couple years ago. So yeah, hope this helped. Bye.
That's it. Hello everybody. If you're new here, my name is Jasmine. I am a second-year medical student, and today we're going to be talking to you about some summer internships we've done. So I'm going to talk about the 2 that I've done, and if I'm looking past the camera, I have my notes behind the camera. The first one that I did was the Border Latino and American Indian Summer Exposure to Research, aka Blazer. So that's a 10-week program out of the University of Arizona. They accept applications from if you're like junior status in undergrad and above. So I had some people do it who like were newly graduated because they applied during their senior year. Some highlights of that program is like we got paired with a research mentor. We got to do research in a lab. I did my project on hemodialysis catheters in a swine model, and then I actually continued that my senior year. They teach you about like the medical school application as well as the graduate school application process. We did workshops on the GRE and the MCAT. They had like a lecture series on minority health disparities. You get to travel to Nogales, Arizona and Sells, Arizona. And then you work with those communities. They give you a stipend. And you also get to create a research poster and do a presentation at the end of the summer. And then you just get to meet like other dope students who are also from underrepresented backgrounds. So that was Blazer. So the next research internship that I did was after I graduated from undergrad, and it was at the Minneapolis Heart Institute Foundation. What I worked on there, because it's a heart hospital, is a predictive model for aortic dissections. So I used like CT and MRI imaging, and I would like measure the aorta. That was a big part of my project. Out of that research internship, I got a best practices article published with my research mentor. So that was really, really cool. It was the first thing I ever published. And then some highlights from the program is that they do cardiovascular research. You get different shadowing experiences in the hospital. You get to watch procedures. We also got to shadow a cardio nurse in the ICU or intensive care unit. And then we also got to shadow a physician in their wound clinic. So taking care of like the wounds that weren't healing. You actually get to watch an open heart surgery, which was really, really cool. And then we got to sit in on some case conferences where the multidisciplinary teams, they come together and they discuss difficult cases. And they had something they called lunch and learns. Number 1, they would feed you. And number 2, it was just like different physicians. They came in, they gave a lecture. We also got to tour medical device companies, so the industry. That was the first time I got to do that too, and see like all the new technologies they're coming out with. And again, you make a poster and then you present it at a little conference. It was just that one program. We all got to present our research. All the doctors came. My mom and my sister came, so that was fun. The next year, actually, the fellow physician that was working on the project with me, he submitted an abstract to the American College of Cardiology conference, and our abstract got accepted, and then he did a poster there. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this for both programs, Blazer and the MHIF internship. They both give you stipends to live off of, and it's like having a summer job, but also like learning a lot. Something else that I recommend to do, apply for the Association of American Indian Physicians pre-admission workshop. It's not a like summer research program, but it is a workshop that they hold for a few days. They have one in the spring and then in the summer. I went when it was hosted by the University of Colorado. They talk about like selecting a professional school. They go over the MCAT. We had a personal statement workshop, MCAS application, which is the application to get into medical school, They went over financial aid and scholarships, interviewing, and then they have panel presentations for physicians and students. They have like partner schools, and every year they like change the location. I would go check it out. So those are all the different things I actually did myself. And then I'm just gonna highlight some other programs. So out of the University of Arizona and Northern Arizona University, there is the Partnership for Native American Cancer Prevention, or NACP, so that's a research program. There's also the University of Arizona Post-Bac Research and Education Program, or UA Prep, is like a year long, and it's aimed to help students who want to pursue a PhD. This next one is the Summer Health Professions Education Program. There is Native American Summer Research Internship out of the University of Utah, also known as NARI. And I know you do research. I'm sure they have like shadowing and all that too, since it's at an academic center. And then there's the Summer Research Enhancement Project out of the Net College. I know Johns Hopkins, they have like a lot of different programs. I was scrolling through their website, and one that I saw was the Diversity Summer Internship Program. Lastly, for the high school peeps, I just saw on Facebook that there's the Navajo Native American Research Center for Health Internship. So another one I know of, the Tribal Health Reaching Out Involves Everyone, aka Thrive. That one's an annual summer conference. I think it's for a few days, and it's for Native youth ages 13 to 19, and it's nationwide, so anybody can apply. And basically that conference focuses on health promotion, disease prevention, with a special focus on suicide prevention and mental health. Okay everyone, well that is it. I hope this was helpful. Those are just my experiences with that. I try to do these funny sign-offs. I always say it to my sister, but stay frosty.